Hello from the other side. Today is December 8th, 2021, and welcome to this week's Las Vegas Advisor Weekly Update with Anthony and Andrew.
Those Adele fans out there may have gotten that reference, hello from the other side, right?
That's right.
We're going to talk about Adele coming to Vegas in just a few minutes, but first, just to shed a little light or shine a light on to our new backdrop that Andrew put up with his trusty staple gun.
Ba-bang, ba-bang, yep. All Huntington Press books.
Yep, these are all Huntington Press books. I'm not going to talk about all of them, but just a couple of quick stories about two of them right over my shoulder here. Down at the bottom is Knockout Blackjack. The subtitle of that is the easiest card counting system ever devised.
Okay.
And it was written by Olaf Van Cura. Olaf is a Harvard-Smithsonian astrophysicist.
Okay.
And he put together this card counting system that really caught on. And this is one of our biggest selling books ever. It actually went for a couple of days. It went to number 8 on Amazon of all books in the world for a number of sales.
There you go.
So that's one interesting. The second one above it was Surviving the Mob, and the story of a New York mobster. Mm-hmm. And interesting about that is we got the book from the guy that it's about, a guy named Andrew DiDonato. Mm-hmm. And I asked him if he'd ever had anything to do with the underground casinos in New York City. Uh-huh. And he did. Wow. So I told him, I said, I'll tell you what, we'll publish your book if you give us another chapter on the underground casinos in New York City. So this book, Surviving the Mob, has probably got the best treatment ever of how the New York casinos worked underground.
And during what eras?
This was back, this wasn't that long ago. This is back in the 60s, the 60s and really more the 70s. Okay. So I'd say the 70s going into the 80s is this, but he was working for a bunch of old timers who were doing it way back in the 60s and the 50s. Wow. So it's a cool chapter. It's my favorite chapter of the book, and, I'm proud of it for that reason.
All right, and that's called Surviving the Mob. We'll put a link in the description box if you're interested in checking out that book.
So let's get to Adele.
Okay, Adele is the most talked about and probably going to be the most expensive ticket for entertainment in Las Vegas.
Yeah, Caesar's Palace bagged her. Mm-hmm. That's interesting because a lot of people thought that Adele was going to Resorts World.
Yeah.
Resorts World has been the one that's been getting all the headliners with Celine, even though now they're saying Celine might not even play until a year from now due to whatever, health issues that she's had. Yeah. But Carrie Underwood just opened up. Various others are about to play there. And a lot of people thought Adele was going to join that rotation, but she's coming to Caesars. Apparently, I think it's called Weekends with Adele. And apparently she's going to play two shows every weekend from January 21st, I think, through April.
And as far as I know, Anthony, ticket prices have not been announced yet.
Only rumors.
Okay.
And we're hearing 1,000, 3,000, that sort of thing. I mean, essentially, they're treating this like she is the biggest star ever to come to Vegas.
Wow.
And I know she's a big star, but I mean, they're really playing. They're almost overplaying this hand with what they're trying to do. You've got to register just to buy tickets. So they haven't announced the prices. We know they're going to be huge. They haven't really begun selling them yet because nobody really knows what they're supposed to do.
There are COVID restrictions that come with this ticket?
Well, the COVID restrictions are the most stringent ever that I've heard. You've got to show proof of vaccination and a negative COVID test. Both of them. So it's not just one or the other. You got to show proof of vax and a recent test, like within 48 hours.
So if you want to see Adele, you have to have the money to buy the ticket, you have to have the proof of vaccination, and you have to have a clean test.
And you have to be able to get a ticket.
Right.
Because even though they're going to be priced like this, I mean, this thing's probably going to sell out like crazy because people will pay this kind of money for a big star.
Right. So you got people eating caviar in like the nosebleed seats, like
probably, probably. That's, it's a good possibility. We'll see.
Well, it seems like there's been a lot of headliners that are getting booked and a lot of big shows. Is there a surge in residencies in Vegas right now?
I just did a show. I just did a news thing on that, a news show on that, where they asked me that same question. And I was like, well, I don't know. I don't notice anything. And then I went and looked, and it's like, Lionel Richie and Sting and John Legend and all of these new names are showing up. Though Lionel Richie is not really new. He was playing at Planet Hollywood. Mm-hmm. He's moving over to the Wynn.
Okay.
Or he has already. He's going to continue. But
Great.
The big names are coming back, which is really great for Vegas. Vegas has always been entertainment capital, and now they're coming back in that direction, right?
sounds great. That sounds great to me. I mean, it seems like the price of a Adele ticket could be the same price as like a ticket for Hamilton back in the day.
Yeah, I mean, that again, that's what they're trying to do is, take their top spot again. But, when I was a kid and I used to vacation here, my folks used to bring my brother and I out. And I was too young to see a show, but I knew who the stars were.
Yeah.
And I loved when we would drive into Vegas and go up and down and look at the marquees and look at the names on the marquees. And I would go, wow, they're all here. Now, I was not going to see them, but it meant something to me, even as a kid who was like 6 or 7 years old. I was getting it, So
Elvis, the Rat Pack.
Yeah, come on, man. It wasn't that long ago. More like Johnny Carson.
Okay.
That Don Rickles, that kind of thing.
Okay. In a few episodes back, we announced that the Tropicana was purchased by Bally's, which was pretty big news. It's a big strip casino, but now the Oakland A's stadium is rumored to replace the Trop.
That's kind of an interesting one. Yeah. We've all been sitting around, first of all, we get a hockey team, pro. Then we get a pro football team, right?
Raiders.
The Raiders. They're talking basketball, and now they're talking baseball. So, I mean, Vegas is going to go from nothing to, having all 4 major sports potentially pretty soon. But they kept talking about where they would put a stadium. And they were talking about the Rio for the longest time.
Right.
Which I would have loved because our office is right next to the Rio. So that would be fabulous if that had happened.
Yeah.
But now the odds-on favorite is the Tropicana itself. And Bally's has said that they're interested. So I guess if the deal is right, if the price is right, they would knock down the Tropicana, right? They'd knock down the Tropicana and they'd build a baseball stadium right there, which is a stone's throw from Allegiant Stadium where they play football.
Right, and not far from the Mandalay and the MGM. And,
right, but we'll see. We'll see. I mean, this is all just conjecture at this point. And it's moved around. Like I said, it was the Rio for the longest period of time. Everybody was convinced. We'll see what happens there.
Okay, up next, consumption lounges coming to Vegas.
Cannabis consumption.
Yeah.
We've been talking about this for a year. They've been legal for most of the year, but none of them open this year. They're going to start opening for sure in January.
Okay,
And,
so
there's several that are on the drawing board right now, and what's different about it, cannabis has been legally sold here for a couple of years, but you can't smoke it anywhere legally. Right. So this is big news because you can actually smoke it in the lounges, and it's the other thing is that they've now okayed drive-through pickup. So
that's interesting.
Drive-through weed, and all throughout Vegas, every place will be licensed to have a drive-through.
All right, you might want to also do drive-through burgers and fries with your weed. I mean, I don't know.
I guarantee you. I mean, some of these places right now that sell it. Yeah. Are already so huge. You were mentioning.
Yeah, Planet 13 is the biggest dispensary in the world. It's right here in Las Vegas. And then I always mention that there's a MedMen right across the street from Virgin, which is open 24 hours.
Yeah, so I mean, the weed business in Vegas is going to get really big. And there will be restaurants there. There'll be all kinds of stuff, little munchy places, the whole thing. They go hand in hand, right?
Cool.
So they tell me.
Yeah, sounds like fun. Sounds like a good time.
Hey, I'm going to say it again, man. I had never smoked one, but I've seen a lot of people get real hungry after a few puffs. All right, so up next, Survivor.
That's right, Survivor. Okay, Anthony, you're not in it anymore. How many people are left this week?
There's still 23.
Okay.
So last week there were 28. So obviously only five got eliminated, and which is really surprising to me because the Lions beat the Vikings. And I would assume that a lot of people just tried to make a living betting against the Lions,
Yeah.
And that was the Lions' first win of the year. So, but it only knocked out 5. So there's 23 left, fewer than made it to the end last year. But they still got a ways to go because these are obviously good players somebody's going to win or split that $6 million.
How many weeks are left?
Till the end of the season. They'll just
Okay.
keep going right to the end of the season.
Okay, that's right. And because there's only so few people left, whoever's the last man standing wins.
Yeah, and if there's multiple, they'll split it.
Chop the pot.
Right, exactly.
Okay, very cool. And
Speaking of jackpots.
yeah, speaking of jackpots, Jeffrey from Michigan wrote in, love the show. I am a Michigander on a trip to Nevada. I stayed in Vegas, then shot up to Mesquite for a week. The Virgin River has 3 bars with 3 progressives that hit almost daily. I got my butt kicked for 6 days, and on my last night, I hit this Spades Royal. They closed the bar down, and I moved over to the main bar where I hit this Hearts Royal. Ha! Great times.
Another one. That's 2 weeks in a row with guys that are hitting 2 in one day, guys and girls, right? That are hitting 2 in one day.
Yeah.
Like I say, it happens. It never happened to me. If you look closely at the photo, you can see on the first one he held 4 and got the one he needed.
Yeah.
And on the second one he held 1 and got 4.
Right.
So that's about a 178,000 to 1 shot, something like that.
That's incredible.
It happens.
But I like it because in gambling, you really do talk a lot about this bell curve, Anthony. Like how some people, just get really, really, really insanely lucky, and some people get really, really insanely unlucky and just will play for years without ever hitting a royal.
Yeah, we have to be careful with this because this whole bell curve result can cause a lot of problems for people. Some of the problems for people is they come here and they get real lucky to begin with, and they think it's easy money, and they end up taking themselves out by by betting too much. And you have others that are very talented and they go on the other side, the wrong side of the curve, and they lose, and they give up.
Yeah.
And they go away. They might be playing a strong game and good game, and they could make it over time, but they just get stopped out of the game. So it happens. What else was interesting about this one is it was in Mesquite, so it doesn't mean necessarily Mesquite's better than Vegas, but he found some good games there. Notice he was playing 7-5 bonus poker to start.
Right.
That's about a 98% return game. The next one he went to a better game. He was playing bonus poker again, but it was 8-5. 8-5 better than 7-5.
Okay.
That takes it up to 99.17%.
Okay.
Plus he was playing, both of them were progressives. The progressives weren't high enough to add a lot to it, but a progressive can add on, 2. And then I don't know, maybe there's some other bonuses. So the guy looked like he was playing a good game, and he deserved to get what he got, I guess.
Yeah, and I think Mesquite's actually pretty cool. I've been down there,
it's
and
fun.
They do have pretty cool casinos.
It's about 70, 80 miles from Vegas, and it's a cool drive, and it's during the summer they got golf and spas and everything else. So yeah, Mesquite's okay.
Yeah. But very, very lucky. Thank you for writing in, Jeffrey. And please continue sending in your wins, your losses. And also, we've gotten recently some bad beats. So if you have any bad beats, send those in and we'll report on those as well.
Right.
Hey, this is a new book alert from the Las Vegas Advisor, fresh off the presses. What do we have here, Anthony?
Well, this just came in. I mean, literally, it came in this morning. We had our list of things that we were going to talk about. And I said, hey, let's tell them about the new book. It's called Then One Year. It's written by Chris Andrews, who wrote a first book called Then One Day. And Chris Andrews is the sportsbook director at South Point. Then One Day was all about basically his career as a bookmaker, throughout Nevada. And Then One Day was such a good book. It really was. And it was so well received that Chris went right to work again on doing what he wanted to do was like a diary of 1 year of play. I mean, of being a bookmaker. So he goes from Then One Day to Then 1 year. What he didn't know at the time when he started the diary was that COVID was going to hit.
Right.
So it wasn't that COVID hit and everything shut down and Chris went, oh man, this would be a great story. He'd already started the story and COVID hit and he just kept going. So, I mean, what's the subtitle is something to that nature, right? History's craziest year is seen by a Las Vegas bookmaker.
Yeah.
And it's because it was a year of COVID. It was going through 20 into 21, and it went from Super Bowl to Super Bowl. So it's interesting on a lot of fronts.
Yeah, it's great. It's every day, every date. You got some cool pictures in here of like South Point.
It's kind of a diary. It's a little bit of a diary, but you're getting a lot of insight into how a bookmaker works, just like Then One Day. Both of these books tell a lot about how a bookmaker does his job,
right?
Which makes it easier for you as a bettor when you know what the bookmaker is thinking. And Chris can really write. Chris can really write. It's a fun read. Yeah,
and it's a lot of stories, a lot of different days to read. This is like a great book that you can just pick a page and it's interesting.
Yep.
So that's pretty awesome. Next, we have our mask update, our Las Vegas mask update. Has anything changed, Anthony?
Yeah, finally there's some news where they've actually come out and said that the mask mandate will go into 2022. So, anybody who was sitting here going, boy, I hope it's over, by New Year's or by Christmas or whatever, that's not going to happen. It's going to go into the new year. They didn't say how far. The reasons for that is we've had some slight upticks on some of the measurables, the measurables of cases and things like that. They're concerned about people coming in groups and droves for the holidays, so they think that there's going to be a small spike. Obviously, the new variant, we talked about it last time. Omicron, is that what it's called? Omicron?
Yeah. We were saying Omicron, and I think somebody corrected us. It's something.
Whatever it is.
It
But
sounds like a
anyway,
Marvel superhero, or bad,
Exactly.
evil, like Marvel,
but
comic
that's-
book.
But that's part of it.
Yeah.
And so, masks are going to, continue as they are, at least into the new year, probably. Late January or February would be the soonest that those would go away.
Okay. Well, I mean, I'm just kind of accepting that, if you're going out to a casino, you have to have a mask. So bring your fashionable mask, don't bring one of those medical ones.
The kind that I wear, right?
Right,
Yeah.
the medical kind that Anthony wears.
Right.
Well, those are the easy ones because you can just go to the casino and you can actually just grab a mask. They give them out at most of the casinos.
Yeah, we haven't mentioned that. A lot of these places they have masks right at the door, and I mean you can take one or two, and so you've got them in your pocket for use.
If you like what we're doing, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. And thank you for watching. Thank you for sending your posts. That's it for this week, and we'll see you next week.